My name is Dosunmu. I'm from Nigeria. I'm here premiering my film at the Cascade Festival of African Films in Portland, Oregon. My background, I'm a self-taught filmmaker, photographer by trade. I really wanted to depict the stories of people I know, because obviously when you look at media, you realize that media on Africa in particular, it does not depict the Africa I know, the Africa I grew up in, and I wanted to tell that story. And that's what got me into cinema, you know, into filmmaking. And for me, cinema or visual language is such a strong instrument in the colonial presence in Africa, and I felt like through visual we can reinterpret those colonial images that were projected about us, and that's what got me into filmmaking. Really wanted to tell the stories about the people I know. For me, my challenges as an African filmmaker, I think it's probably one of the same challenges that most filmmakers go through, which is about raising funds, which is really a problem. You know, you're trying to raise funds, and as an African filmmaker, it's obviously way more difficult to raise funds out of Africa because we have bigger priorities, you know. I think filmmaking is a big priority because it can change people's mind, and you begin to install a different kind of image on the youth of Africa. But obviously, the people in power don't think so. The people with the funds don't think so. So it's way more difficult to raise funds in that sense on the continent. And outside the continent, people that do give you funds expect things. And most of the things they expect are ideas they are subjected to, they've been subjected to, their image of Africa, which is often, half of them have never been. So they have this image of Africa that we all are bombarded with on television every day, and they think that's what it is. And true, some of it might be, but there's a lot that is not. And me as a filmmaker, what I want to talk about is those things. It's not what we're bombarded with every day. It's what we don't yet have discovered about Africa that interests me. Regarding films made by films made by Africans, I think it's very crucial, because I really truly believe that, one, the story should be told from that voice, and Africans telling their stories, really, one gets to understand the subtle things, the subtleness, the nuances, the dynamics and that do occur. And I think that's very important, because often people are summed together when it's a foreign eye telling an African story. But as an African, you know what you're talking about, and I think it's very important. And especially for we as Africans, it's because our stories the story we know about Africa today is being told by non-Africans. We are almost getting the repercussions of that, you know, when you get the David Livingstones and the Joseph Conrad and the Rhodes, you know, the atrocity they did on African history based on the literature has to be rewritten, because half of it is not true. And the only person that can tell that story is us, and we need to tell that story, because that's what the world is exposed to. So it's very crucial that we reinterpret, we decolonize colonial images and colonial literature. And yes, so that's for me my objective as a filmmaker. My experience in Portland at the Cascade Film Festival has been wonderful. I mean, what's amazing is that I've got to meet so many people that have a knowledge of the continent, volunteered in the continent, lived in the continent, and that's amazing. And come to think, I mean, I'm in Portland, Oregon, you know, I'm in the northwest or northeastern state, I think, you know, and for me, it's quite impressive and it's beautiful, and especially a city like Portland, where so much youth culture drives through this state, through this city. It's amazing, and these are the audience I want to show my film to. This is the kind of people. I mean, this is where I want to be, because I mean, as a filmmaker, you are trying to make films to reach as much people as possible, and it's been amazing how receptive people are, and how, especially coming to this festival and seeing the body of films that's traveled through these festivals. These are people that have inspired me. These are people that have made me want to make films. So that's been incredible, incredible. And the audience reactions and that I've witnessed so far, even having not seen my film, but excited to see it, to hear about an African film. And I think more people want to see that. More people want to see what is going on on the continent of Africa, and not be bombarded by the CNN. And every time there's a disaster, it's what gets screened or comes on the air. But there's so much things. There's way more to Africa than the catastrophe that one gets to hear of on the news. And so for me, it's an absolute pleasure to be here to present my film. To present my film to an audience that's probably never been there, and for them to be able to connect on a human level to the emotion of the characters, to be able to relate to the emotion of the characters, to understand it, and to personalize it in their own life. It will be very, very exciting for me. So I'm quite excited about that. What I really would like the audience to come away with on the festival, especially the youth audience, I really want them to be able to, that's how I felt, to be able to backpack and go across the African continent. I think it's an amazing experience of a lifetime. Kids leave high school or have time off in college and often don't know what to do. For me, that's if I could get them to do that, backpack and go across the continent and go witness it yourself, because I really believe that often the best way to get people engaged and be excited about something is for them to really go there and experience it themselves and realize that there's way more to it than what is been projected to them. So that for me, it will be fulfilling. No one really wants to associate themselves with negativeness, and I think there's way more to the continent than that, and people are more excited to go and watch a festival of music in Niger, on the desert of Niger, or go to the film festival in Fespaco, and on their way there, they've discovered the continent, and they will know how they feel about the continent. And that for me is the way, I believe that's the way. I don't think is the way it's been done for the past couple of decades is the way. I think it's about celebrating, and let's take those beautiful things and let's talk about what's beautiful about this part of the world, why we should all make an effort to go there once in a lifetime, because it's definitely it's a life-changing experience. It's a wonderful continent, I mean, talking about it makes me shiver, because people are loving and yeah, and so that's what I like. I like to want to go and experience the continent themselves and really come out of there with their own experience.